Hey everybody, Matt Johnson here. Is Mackenzie Shirilla a bad apple, or is she the result of bad parenting?
The mother was an enabler in regard to the daughter's, Mackenzie's addiction to needing to be on camera all the time, needing to post all these videos, needing to be an influencer, all of that. And then the father was an enabler in regard to drugs.
That's forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carole Lieberman breaking down her assessment of both Natalie and Steve Shirilla. But first, do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share this episode. Now, the case of Mackenzie Shirilla. Here to help break it all down, we have a very special guest, Dr. Carole Lieberman, expert witness, decades of experience, a forensic psychiatrist. Thank you so much for your time. And when we're talking about Natalie and Steve and Mackenzie Shirilla, their daughter, who's incarcerated, are we dealing with a bad apple or bad parenting?
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Now that we're seeing more and more about her parents, it really makes it clear how she became the way she is. First of all, that both of them, in their different ways, have enabled her. They have enabled her addictions. Her mother enabled her addiction to being on the screen, to being an influencer, to being, to always being on, wanting people to look at her all the time. And she was addicted to that. And then her father enabled her addiction to drugs. And the way that he talked about, pot, there's nothing wrong with pot. Everybody does pot. You do pot. I do pot. It's like, it doesn't mean that you should, particularly not when you're a teenager. And your brain is still developing. You could see how she became the way she did. Their parenting was just unbelievable. I mean, it was non-parenting, and they just let her do whatever she wanted. And an interesting thing that I found out, perhaps you've already talked about this, her parents went bankrupt just a few months before the crash. And which kind of could explain, I was reading about it in an article that talked about how they put up the car that she drove as collateral. And then they bought it back. So if they hadn't bought it back, I guess she could have killed him another way. But so the reason why I find that interesting is because that could help to explain why they allowed her to move in with him. They allowed her to do whatever she wanted, but also it's nice that he would be paying for all her outfits and her food and, all of that. So that just adds to it. But they really created her. They created a monster.
Yeah, and a lot of people are agreeing with you. And the parents have recently done a media tour, sort of, and a lot of people are wondering if they're in denial. But I want to play this clip first. It's with a local outlet, WKYC TV, and get your take.
How can I feel bad that these two boys died and feel grief with these families and then be absolutely overjoyed that my kid is alive?
Insisting that the justice system got it wrong.
Show me one piece of evidence, one, that says she did this on purpose. Show it to me. Here it is. That's it. Then she's right where she belongs and she's guilty of it. But there isn't any.
Doctor, what's your take on that? There was evidence in court. She was convicted.
Yes, they found out that she had, first of all, made a trial run 3 days before to that spot. And second of all, they showed that the car, she never braked. She never tried to brake. She was going over 100 miles per hour and she continued doing that. What more does he want? And there is more. And also a few days before, couple of weeks before, she threatened to kill him when she was driving him. And he called his mother, who then sent somebody to get him out of that situation. There is evidence. He just doesn't want to see it.
So are they living in denial?
Yes. They, because to admit that she's guilty would mean to admit that they did something wrong as parents. And there is no way they're going to admit that.
Now, some of the other criticism that comes from this story is not only does Mackenzie never really show emotion, and we talked about that in our previous conversation, for killing Davion Flanagan and Dominique Russo, her boyfriend. But then she takes to social media and posts things like this: "I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls who can get a lot of drugs and not die." I mean, that's shocking. And then she posts things like this on her social media where she appears to have marijuana and behind the wheel. So recently, her father was asked about her drug use on various outlets, including TMZ and Chris Cuomo. He doubled down on that, and I'm going to get your take.
You still feel that way? I knew she was smoking weed. I didn't know she was making videos and in the car. That's the stuff I found out after the fact.
Do you blame yourself for your daughter's behavior?
Do I blame myself? Could I have advised her better? Sure. Do I think it would have made any difference? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with the marijuana use. I'm sorry. I just don't. It's a battle that I would never win. How am I stopping her? Was I going to lock her in her room and never let her out of the room? Was I supposed to go with her everywhere she goes? Could I took the car away? There's just so many factors that had nothing to do with it. I
just feel like there's quite a few things to analyze there.
Well, yes, for one thing, Cuomo after that says, yes, you could have and should have done those things, that's what a parent does. It's interesting to see how hard it was for him to get the words out to the answer, could I have done better? He didn't want to admit that.
And also his body language too, doctor, his body language, he was like closing his eyes as he was saying those things. And he was saying that ultimately, he was saying that he couldn't control his daughter, right?
Yes. I hope other parents looking at that realize, that this is what happens if you don't act like a parent. Something horrible happens. Maybe not everybody has a daughter who, kills people, but other things are horrible. Yes, it's just, and he has no clue that how he's behaving, like that this is, that he's not showing himself in a good way. Neither of them do, actually. In all the photos, all the video that there is when they were at the hospital and the mother's screaming, she just learned about the accident, but she both of them. And when he was at the police, I guess you're going to show us the police, when the father was at the police station.
Why doesn't she get a phone call? If you arrest her, why don't she get a phone call?
She was just brought in. They're going to process her. As soon as they get the time for her to make a phone call, she will be able to make a phone call.
You just need to advise her. She has a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She does have a lawyer.
She is 18 years old and she could speak that.
Yeah, but she's a dumb 18-year-old that just turned 18.
Well,
and you guys are no. Okay. All the kids nowadays are dumb. And these guys are going to take advantage of it. She's not allowed to speak to you guys. I'm telling you that.
Her attorney can call us.
Don't ask her any questions.
Well, when the father was at the police station and he wanted to see his daughter right then, she had just gotten arrested. Right, both of them had this feeling, had this sense of entitlement. That's where she got her sense of entitlement. They both thought the hospital, the police, they should all listen to them. And so, so he was, when he was at the police station, he was saying and trying to scream to see her. He was also saying, my daughter, she's stupid. She's dumb. She's 18. And the mother was saying, you're saying your daughter is dumb. Well, all 18-year-olds are dumb. They just have no clue how they are being perceived. It's really, and then the mother said, I need her phone, because I have another child. Doesn't the mother have a phone of her own? Why would she need her daughter's phone? She just was afraid of the police getting the phone and finding something incriminating.
Were you also surprised in the fact that, this father is a school teacher, an art teacher, and he was recently let go, it appears, by the Catholic Diocese of Cleveland. He's not going to be asked back. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. I think they did the right thing. First of all, I'm sure that part of the reason was, besides the fact that they saw his parenting and, encouraging kids to use pot and all kinds of drugs. But also, I think it probably had to do with that they didn't want parents to take their kids out of the school because they would keep this father. I'm sure they were worried about kids dropping out too.
So when we're talking about mom, any assessment of mom that sticks out before we get into how she acted in court and afterwards?
The mother is continuing to be the mother, to be how she was. We still hear her being that way on phone calls. Again, no sense that maybe she should think about changing her mothering style or changing, there was the brand that had asked just soon after the accident, a brand contacted Mackenzie, or I guess, or maybe the mother saw it in any case, asking to use the picture of Mackenzie that they liked. And both of them jumped on it. Here, it was barely I don't even know if the boys were buried, and they're jumping on this opportunity to have some brand use her photo, and presumably they would have paid her for it. But even if they didn't pay her, they would have been happy for the fame.
Yeah, and a lot of people are also giving the mother criticism with the videos surfacing again of the sentencing of Mackenzie, and she made a statement. The mom made a statement, and she was trying to make excuses because, again, people were saying Mackenzie is not showing any remorse. She didn't right after the deaths. And in fact, she went to a Halloween costume party where she dressed as a corpse, or it appeared that way. Here's the photo from that, from her social media that's been circulating. So the mom, she tried to say that it was her fault, not her daughter. Here's the statement. I'll get your opinion on it.
Never, ever, ever murder the love of her life. Okay. For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote. Okay. She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun, a moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world, So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes. Okay. And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the two dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
Okay, I have to stop it right there. What are your thoughts with this mother?
Well, first of all, she wasn't exactly dressed appropriately for court. She wasn't, it was super casual, not really showing respect for the judge. Not a good thing to do. But yes, going on and on, taking blame for herself, but only to try to prevent her daughter from getting a larger sentence. She doesn't realize how ridiculous she sounds. I told her to have 1 minute of fun. The two people she killed aren't having any fun. And yes, she was she was madly in love. It wasn't really love, but I guess madly infatuated. She wanted to marry him. And that's why, as she was beginning to see the writing on the wall, that he really was, since she moved in with him, that he was wanting more and more to break up with her. And, that's how this came about. That's why she had to get rid of him before he got rid of her. But the mother wasn't helping. And she, what she's saying, what was that again? I mean, she didn't write notes for what she wanted to say. I mean, the whole thing was just so casual. And it's just so like, oh, well, this is just a little thing. And yes, she went to the concert. I mean, she doesn't get it at all. And
I know, it sticks out to me that she takes credit for her daughter's mistakes yet again. So her daughter's probably learning that people are always going to clean up her messes.
Uh-huh.
And then she doesn't even acknowledge the beautiful lives that are lost. And, she disregards one of them as just, a new friend.
Yes. She really didn't think much of them. Dominic was their ticket. Dominic was going to be very successful. He was already doing quite well for himself with trading and all that. And I think that's how he started realizing that really she was just pulling him down. And that was part of his wanting to break up with her. The mother is just, there's no words to say more other than she was putting her own need to, she was living vicariously through her daughter. And she was putting her own need to live vicariously, to enjoy all of this above, whatever happened.
And in terms of, there is criticism and speculation that when they were kind of talking in pig Latin in some of the phone calls between the daughter and the mother, that's when Mackenzie behind bars was already coming up with a scheme to say, oh, it was a medical emergency. And back me up on this, Mom. So before I play a bit of testimony from the mother about that, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, if she did have this disorder and they were trying to use that as part of her defense, which would, be something you might try to do. Why didn't they have her examined by a doctor? Why didn't they have an expert come and testify that she has this POTS, and yes, it can happen even when she's sitting down? And, why wasn't there even a letter to bring into court saying this?
Well, I think that we're going to hear in the clip why they chose not to do that in their defense, which, I'm with you. You have covered a lot of high profile cases and you've been an expert witness in the courtroom. It's kind of like, if you're going to make a claim like that, sure, put on a defense, that's your right, but back it up with a witness. Right. So here's the mom's testimony before the trial.
POTS is it's a condition where your blood pressure gets very low, and it happens sometimes when you stand up too fast, you can pass out.
Have you observed your daughter experience these symptoms?
Yes.
On how many occasions prior to this accident?
Multiple, couple for sure, multiple, yeah.
So you were aware of these POTS incidents, yet you still went to the BMV and said, give my daughter a driver's license.
Yes.
You signed off on her operating a car on the highway.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Knowing that she had this issue?
It's not required to disclose it on a driver's permit. They didn't tell me I had to do that. I know people that have POTS and don't have it on theirs.
Okay, so there's two questions here, right? What does it say about the mother if she is lying under oath for her daughter? Or what does it say about the mother if she's approving the driver's license, knowing that her daughter could actually pass out and kill somebody when behind the wheel?
Because the mother is only interested in keeping her daughter happy and keeping her doing things that she can live vicariously through. The mother seemed rather surprised by these questions, like the part about the driver's license, I guess she never really thought about that because, first of all, it might not be true or it might not be as serious as she wants everybody to believe.
Which do you think it is? Do you think that she was lying about the driver's license, or do you think she was lying on the stand about the defense?
I think she was lying about when he asked how many times did you see her have this problem, and she started, she ended up saying multiple because she really didn't know how many times. I mean, she couldn't count because there probably weren't a lot of times. That seemed to be a lie. As far as the driver's license, she just seemed like she didn't anticipate that kind of a question, and she didn't quite know how to answer it.
And what do you make about how the mother behaves in the phone calls? And there's been plenty that have surfaced, including one I'm going to play for you. It's not the most shocking of all the phone calls, but it kind of just sets the tone of how the mom acts. And I'll ask you about that on the other side.
I want to enjoy life there, but it's just sad. I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitative. See, that's how jail is supposed to rehabilitate people.
But I don't need to be rehabilitated. I don't need that.
You. I know you don't.
I feel I want to live off the grid. And I'm just thinking about how I'm just gonna be old when I get out of jail, and I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to have kids or a family and
what?
that.
You said that.
I'm just scared they're gonna be you have the death penalty or you're going to life for 40 years.
I know. Well, let us fight. Let us do what we're doing, okay? Just living right now.
Okay, just live right now. Again, not letting her handle her own issue that she created. Let us fight for you. And there's no need for rehabilitation or being behind bars.
There's nothing wrong with you, darling. You don't need rehabilitation. You're perfect just the way you are. That's what she's saying. And the daughter, thinks that too. It really is interesting that so far all her appeals have been denied. But it does seem as though she may have some grounds for appeal in terms of ineffective assistance of counsel, because he never used the diminished capacity defense. And also, the big mistake was in having a bench trial. That was the attorney's biggest mistake, because surely there would likely have been one juror who might well have felt sorry for her and not agreed to have this verdict or the sentence. Well, the verdict.
I agree with you. I think that was shocking and very unusual to have a bench trial in the first place, but especially because she's such a young offender. And there might have been some sympathy there. And they could have put on a different defense by calling expert witnesses like yourself. But what's your overall assessment of mom and dad here?
The best I can say is that mom and dad are both enablers. Enablers, you usually hear that term when it's in regard to alcoholics. People who keep alcohol in the refrigerator, for example, when one of the family members is an alcoholic, or encourages them to go to a bar, things like that. But you can also be an enabler in other ways. And the mother was an enabler in regard to the daughter's, Mackenzie's addiction to needing to be on camera all the time, needing to post all these videos, needing to be an influencer, all of that. And then the father was an enabler in regard to drugs. And, by not saying that she shouldn't do it, and by having this lackadaisical attitude, that was enabling her to go for it. Why shouldn't she do it?
You're exactly right, as always. Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you so much for being on the program. How do we get a hold of you?
One way would be my website, expertwitnessforensic.psychiatrist.com.
Well, I certainly hope to have you back on the program soon. I'll have all the information in my show notes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.